It's time now to say hello to our first guests tonight, who can only be described as truly scrumptious. It's Adam Garcia and Charlie Brooks. Welcome. Welcome both.
Hello, guys. Welcome to the show. Right, so you're both taking the new production of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang across the UK. This is a musical that everybody has adored for many years. Yeah. What is it about this particular production that you think the audiences just love so much?
Well, I think it's just absolutely full of joy. I've only just started rehearsals, and from what I've seen, it's super fun. We've got the car and everything. And I recently watched the film, and it's such a trip down back to being a little girl, you know, and how I felt when I watched that. It was really bizarre, actually. So yeah, I think the world needs a bit of joy in their life at the moment, and I think that's what this production is definitely going to give people. So I'm really excited about being part of that.
Yeah. And I mean, you're following in some incredible footsteps. We were just talking about the original cast. Adam, you're playing Caractacus Potts, a role made famous by Dick Van Dyke, of course, all singing, all dancing scenes. Me All Bamboo. I mean, let's have a look at this. This is a number you're going to be performing.
What?
I know, right? Talk about the biggest and fastest shoes to fill. Oof. How are you feeling?
Well, I mean, look, I got into dancing because of people like Dick Van Dyke, and watching this film when I was a kid and watching performances like that. And it's a classic show, and they're classic numbers, and it's the Sherman Brothers. So, look, it's a challenge, and dance-wise, my heart rate is certainly way up there in rehearsals at the moment. But you know, I love dancing, and I love doing these sorts of things. So they are very big shoes to fill, but you know, I get to do it. I get to do a Dick Van Dyke role. So
that is incredible. Yeah. Charlie, lots of people know you from playing Janine in EastEnders.
Yes.
Interesting role, one I loved for many years, I have to say. But you're taking on a scary role, actually, in
Not dissimilar, really.
Yeah, I was trying to say that, but yeah.
Going on here.
Another supervillain.
Wonder why. Yeah, look, you know, I think I'll be the first woman to play the child catcher. So when I spoke to the director, Tom, about it, I was like, this sounds really exciting. I think it's a genius idea. I don't quite know what it's going to be yet, because I've only just come into rehearsals. And so it's like I've got, the way I think of it is like it's a block of clay and you start sort of making shapes out of it, and I've just started chipping away. So who knows, we're in, you know, exploration mode. But it's going to be really fun.
With that, is it something that might adapt as kind of like each show kind of...
Yes, it adapts, and it adapts again when you get the costume on, then it adapts again when you put the shoes on.
I think the costume's going to be iconic. I mean, all that black.
I've seen it. It's wicked. It's so fun. Oh, you're gonna love it.
Oh, wow.
I've just seen like a drawing of it, and they're so clever, all costume designers, and you know, they're just amazing people. So they've done a really good job of pulling that together. But
now, Adam, I heard that this is a bit of a dream role for you as well, not just because of the singing and dancing. Apparently, you're also massively into your classic cars. I
do love a classic car. My brother used to sort of rebuild muscle cars in Australia, which is a very Australian sort of thing, you know. V8s and stuff like that, but I sort of like, well, one of my first cars, and you may even see a picture of it, was a P1800 Volvo, which is what the Saint drove.
This is
that sort of same thing, in British racing green. And so I have sort of, European 1960s, 1970s cars. Now, obviously, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is a European car, but slightly older.
Have you had a go on Chitty herself yet? Have you...
We haven't gone in our car, but I have been in a Chitty car.
when?
I was doing another show. And yeah, they had one of the original cars that were used in the film that was made of basically an giant old Rolls-Royce type thing and half a boat. But it's monstrous.
Amazing.
I mean, it was, you know, as big as the studio.
That is a versatile vehicle. It can fly and go in the sea.
That's it.
I don't like that anymore, do you?
That is the magic. That is the magic.
Charlie, you've done plenty of theatre, but this is the first time you're actually going to be singing on stage.
God help me.
How are you feeling?
God help the audience. Do you know what? I went into this... I got thrown straight in the deep end on Thursday and went straight in and had an hour's singing session, and George, the musical director, was so supportive and brilliant. And I'm so terrified about it, but I just had the most fun in that hour. I was like, oh my God, you're going to have to hold me back. Because I love musical theatre when I was a little girl, and I was like, that's what got me into acting and stuff. And so I never thought I'd ever be in a musical theatre show. So now I'll be at the sidelines, like...
Doing the old bamboo.
Scary and exciting is always a good sign. That mixture is what it's all about.
Yeah, and that's what the show is. It's like good versus evil, you know, and there's no justification for this one.
Can't wait to see it.
Oh, love that. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the musical, starts on the 30th of April in Southampton before travelling across the UK, and tickets are on sale now.
Right, but first, we're just moments away from seeing the first live images from NASA as the solar eclipse begins to move across North America. We're
going to be joined by Dame Dr. Maggie Adair-Pocock to talk us through them. But before that, she's been meeting up with some space enthusiasts to hear why tonight's event is such a special occasion.
It's a magical moment when the Earth, Moon and Sun are perfectly aligned to produce a solar eclipse.
The last time the UK saw a total solar eclipse was back in 1999.
But the weather was far from ideal in Cornwall, where many had gathered to watch. Cloud cover meant the viewing conditions on the ground were dismal.
But high above those clouds was a man with a lot of pressure on his shoulders.
Camera operator Eugene Campbell was sent up in an RAF Hercules aircraft to capture the eclipse from above the clouds.
Luckily, the Hercules is quite a unique aircraft in that there's an awful lot of windows in the cockpit. We had an amazing RAF crew who got us into the right place at the right time to be able to film the eclipse. I was literally on my hands and knees, hand holding the camera, pointing at the sun at the point of totality so that we could beam pictures live from 20-odd thousand feet onto the ground.
Eugene was using a camera filter he'd made himself.
And then at the very end of this was a little homemade filter in front of the lens that was made from a cornflakes packet and some camera tape and a filter on it. Everything that on paper should have gone wrong didn't, and we got it right. And I just felt really proud to be a small part of that.
It was 16 years before the UK got a sniff of another solar eclipse. But 2015 only gave us a partial one, which was far less exciting than a total solar eclipse.
We've got a bit of a wait till the next one. 66 years, in fact. So it's not surprising that enthusiasts across the UK are prepared to go to extraordinary lengths to see this phenomenon.
Across Mexico, the US and Canada, a most spectacular total solar eclipse is taking place. In Manchester, the Lamb family are getting ready for the trip of a lifetime. They're off to the US to join tens of millions of Americans looking skyward.
What interests me with it is really the side of it where it goes dark and potentially the nightlife comes out, you know, the animals, the nocturnal animals. I found out that Texas Hill Country is going to have 4.5 minutes of totality. So that was the kind of place I went for.
We've waited so long, we've saved as much as we possibly can, and we put off a lot, but it was so important to have that family time, tear ourselves away from our day jobs and really spend some good time with the boys and experience something magical with them.
So are you looking forward to seeing the totality? Yeah. We've all got Eclipse t-shirts made on the ranch, you know, for the event. Yeah.
This year's eclipse has seen tour companies sell out months in advance. Brian McGee has been leading astronomy tours since the late 1970s.
What sort of people go on these sort of solar eclipse journeys?
Well, there used to be people who were quite focused on astronomy, but you don't have to know anything about astronomy at all to appreciate a total solar eclipse. I have the challenge of getting all of the logistics in place for, in the case of the next one, it's going to be close on 1,000 people.
So how many total solar eclipses have you seen?
I'm just coming up to number 25.
I'm jealous. I've only clocked up 2, but they were magical.
If you're saved up for a trip like this, you want to be able to take the perfect picture. Award-winning landscape astrophotographer Josh Jury has turned his passion for capturing the night sky into his profession.
I've been interested in eclipses since 1999, so I want to try and see as many more of them as I can, just to see really the changes from one eclipse to the next. I remember when I was at school, I had images which are poor by today's quality, but it was what made me inspired by the world of astronomy.
Have you got any tips for someone who's going to see their first eclipse?
So for anyone seeing their first, it may be worth just looking at it for the first time. Others who have got a bit more experience, go and take some photographs. Do a rehearsal at the time before the eclipse, whether that's taking images of the moon or even the sun itself with the appropriate filters.
astrophotographers, veteran eclipse chasers, and ordinary families. As a scientist, I find it inspiring to know that thousands of people from across the UK are travelling to experience the magnificence of this solar eclipse for themselves.
Oh, well, Josh has reached Dallas and he's sent us this picture. The eclipse will be reaching him in about 20 minutes, hopefully. Well, he's getting the shot for us, isn't he? Let's be honest.
I know he is. And like Josh, remember to protect your eyes if you're looking up at the sun. Right, joining us to tell us more about this incredible lunar phenomenon, Dame and Doctor Maggie Adair-Pocock. Welcome. Big congratulations on the damehood, Maggie. We're going to come to that in a bit. But look at this. These images. I cannot wait any longer for you to tell us what's happening. We're seeing this live from NASA. Yes. What are we seeing here?
So this is actually what we call totality. So now we've got sort of the shadow of the moon. So the moon has passed in front of the sun. We can see that sort of that golden sort of glow around it. That's the sun's corona, its outer atmosphere, which usually we can't see because the sun is just too bright. And so, yes, what's lovely about this eclipse is it's very long. It lasts about 4.5 minutes, depending on where you are. Eclipses usually sort of 2, maybe 1.5 minutes. So this is one of the longest ones in centuries. So it's just wonderful. I'm very jealous.
and that's obviously that's why it's so special, is it? Is there anything else that kind of like information-wise that you'd be able to gather from it?
Well, yes. Because we can see the corona of the sun from Earth at the moment, scientists across the world will go and see these. Yeah. And actually sort of, because the corona is partly governed by the sun's magnetic field, and so you get prominences and all sorts coming out of the sun. So it's a way of sort of analysing the sun without actually going up into space. So it's a wonderful opportunity, but also magical too.
I know you said in the film you've seen 2 of these eclipses. What's it like in real life experiencing one?
It's funny because as a scientist, I sort of have a good understanding that, so you've got the sun behind, the moon goes in front, and so you've got the shadow cast on Earth. But at the same time, when you're actually there, it's transcendent because all nature starts responding. So first of all, the light gets really weird. It's sort of like a hard light, but it's dark. And then the birds start going to roost because it's getting darker. So they think, oh, hey, it's nighttime. So they start sort of settling down. And then you get this sort of this moment of totality where you see sort of the corona, you see the dark shadow of the moon. And what's lovely about this is it's a cosmic coincidence. The moon is just at the right distance from the Earth, and the sun is just the right distance. So the moon totally covers the sun.
Even though it's a lot smaller?
Yes. And in the future, as the moon moves away from us, we won't get this. We'll get what we call an annular eclipse, where you have sort of a big glowing ring around this. So it is a wonderful thing to see.
It's fascinating, really. Is there any way, like, closer to home that people can even get a little glimpse of it?
Yeah, so this is totality, which is the real deal.
The dream.
In sort of the Western Isles of Scotland, as the sun is setting now, they might be able to see a partial eclipse, so maybe a small nibble at the sun. As just said, be careful, never look directly at the sun. Yeah. But you can see a small nibble. But the next total solar eclipse in the UK is not till 2090. So
20 what?
90.
2090.
I was like, wow, I was about to book the day off work. That's not going to work, is it?
You're going to wait a bit. But there are others going across the world, but this one is particularly special because of the length. And yeah, when you see a total solar eclipse, when I saw my first one, I saw it and I took it all in and I thought, oh, magical. And then I had to sit down because I was just sort of disorientated because of the majesty of it, really.
No, it is incredible, it really is.
Oh, yeah, look at that. You saw a breakthrough, the diamond ring effect, as it moves across, and we see, and see, that's a tiny slither of sun, but how bright it is.
Yeah.
Our sun is amazing.
That's our star, isn't it?
Yeah, our local star.
Absolutely incredible.
Got to start talking again now. I'm not staring at it. Just like,
I know. Actually, it draws you in,
doesn't it? Yeah.
Hypnotised.
I know. Maggie, quickly, the last time you were here, I mean, you had a Barbie. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Their own Maggie Barbie.
What way round did the titles go? Dame, Barbie, Doctor.
There we go, yeah. Now the damehood. I mean, congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
How does it feel?
It doesn't feel real sometimes. Yeah. And also, sometimes you think, I think of dames and sort of amazing, wonderful women. I think, my goodness, am I one of them?
Yes, you are. Yeah. 100% you are. That's why you've been given it. You deserve it.
But I think there were some fantastic women out there, so we need more dames. But it was just such an honour and such a surprise as well. When the letter came through, I thought, hey, come on, someone's having a joke here.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Congratulations.
So pleased for you, Maggie. You can catch Maggie on The Sky at Night tonight, 9:30 on BBC4 and iPlayer. Thank you so much.
Right, and Big Zoo joins us now. There he is, the man himself. The man himself. Welcome, Big. Zoot. Now, a lot of people know you from your cooking shows, you're presenting. How many BAFTAs is it now? I mean, you're just collecting them like sweets. It's on flames. But the one thing you've not, I suppose, really opened up about a lot to people is about your faith. And that's what this documentary is about.
Yeah, man. I think this is probably the most like real side you'll ever see of me, and it was tough, you know, opening up on camera. I mean, I'm on camera most of the time, but this is like, that's like Big Zoo, the character, whereas this was like me, myself, Zahir Hassan. So yeah, it was deep.
What was it like? Was there a kind of vulnerability to putting yourself out there in that?
Yeah, 100%. I guess, you know, I didn't want to get judged by people for not being the perfect Muslim, but no one is that, and I feel like I'm able to kind of show a side to Islam that's maybe a bit more easy for people to connect with. And the one thing I want to do through this doc is just help people on their journey with faith. Doesn't matter what faith it is, but if you have a connection to any faith, hopefully you can see my kind of journey and it can inspire you to take more steps within it.
So, you're talking about that journey. Tell us a little bit about the pilgrimage that you made and what it actually involved.
So Umrah is just a pilgrimage that Muslims do. They go to the Kaaba, which is in Mecca. You probably know it as like the black box that you see it there. And you circle it 7 times, and you do some other things. You run between 2 hills as well, and you cut your hair. There's a lot of different parts to it, but it's just a spiritual journey, and it's a way for you to connect with your God, and something I never thought I'd ever do, but I did it, and I got it done, and it was beautiful.
Yeah. You know, it was funny watching it. I mean, there was a moment there where you was going to be having this whole experience on your own.
Yes.
Which, I mean, would have been interesting in a different kind of way, but you got to experience it with your boys, almost like your family. I mean, Tubbsy and Hyder went with you.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that made it just like so special as well.
Yeah, definitely. At first it was about me going there on my own, but like you said, I just couldn't do it on my own. I had to go with, you're always told to go with your friends and family.
Yeah.
So I went with Tubbsy and Hyder, and just walking around the Kaaba when I was with Tubbsy and Hyder and saying our prayers together and just having that spiritual connection. It's like we've gone through a lot, you know, secondary school, then we had big eats together, doing our Umrah. It was beautiful.
What was your like childhood like? Because there was some nice moments there with your mum when you kind of like sat down to break the fast at one point. And I was kind of thinking watching it, like was faith a big part of your upbringing as a child?
I'm from Sierra Leone, so we're very like it's a very mixed country. You know, you have Christians, you have Muslims, so there's a lot of faith. But in terms of like following the religion, that was never a big thing in my house. Yeah. My mum was very spiritual, you know, believes in God, but it was never, you should pray 5 times a day, or you should do this, you should do that. She always just told me to believe in being a good person. Yeah. So I guess this was one of the most like strict things that I've done, where you're following like a book and you're following what you should do. So for that kind of like reason, it was very different for me.
And throughout the doc, you kept mentioning your hair. I get it. I know what you're talking about.
Oh my days,
Setting the barber, you know. But you know what was nice about it is that what it symbolised wasn't what you actually thought it was about, was it? The whole kind of cutting of your hair. We kind of, well, I know I would have been the same as you. You think about it differently, like it's I don't know, like a sacrifice, but it wasn't that, was it?
No, it was. So at the end of your Umrah, you cut your hair, you cut a piece of your hair, and it's like you're relinquishing yourself from the ihram, which is like this state that your body goes into. And they say the more hair you cut, the more blessings you get. Obviously, I got a lot of hair. I was like, boy,
we're doing all right.
How low are we going? Like, am I going bald? Ain't no one seen this real head. Do you know what I mean? But it kind of taught me that I was so connected to how I looked. I overlooked the actual spiritual side to it. Yeah. And once I got there and I let go, I said, you know what, cut it off. I didn't go bald, but I definitely went very low. And I was so focused about that when really I should have been focused about my prayers and what I was actually there for. And it was a good thing you actually see that. You see that journey in the doc as well.
And it has been life-changing for you. What's the main thing that you'll take away from the experience, do you think?
It's a lot of things changed for me after it. I guess it's just about prayer and being with different people. When you're when you're in the mosque and you're going around the Kaaba, you are surrounded by millions of people. And it feels unreal. You are surrounded by people from all different backgrounds, all different parts of the world. But at that one moment, we was all together. And that was what was beautiful, you know? And I think for me, it's just being able to represent this on BBC in a time like this is just like mad. You're normally used to me spitting bars cooking food. Now I'm doing prayers.
Covering all angles.
You're going to be celebrating Eid this week with family. I mean, being a chef, do you always get roped in to do the
Oh,
cooking?
yeah. I know my mum's watching. She's there ordering the lamb. Lamb is sick. Them lamb prices are going up right now. So, yeah, Eid is on Wednesday. That's at my butcher's. So, yeah, we're gonna get real lammy. It's going to be good. I'm going to make some sides as well. I'll make some croquettes.
Love it.
Oh, nice.
Dinner around Big Zoo's. Well, you can watch Big Zoo Goes to Mecca this Sunday night at 9 o'clock on BBC Two and iPlayer.
Oh.
Time for some messages quickly.
We've got some lovely
We have.
messages.
Martin says, I'm a massive Chitty fan. I have lots of amazing memories watching it with my grandma and seeing the show with her in Liverpool.
Well, even more committed, check out Dave's Chitty Chitty Bang Bang tattoo. Look at that. Talk about a super fan.
Yo.
He is a proper fan.
Huge thank you to tonight's guests, Adam, Charlie, Big Zoo, and of course, Dr. Maggie.
Tomorrow we'll be joined by actor Eddie Marsan and Sir Michael Palin. Have a great evening. Goodbye.